Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Darren Cooper. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Major General Kelvin Kong, Chief of the Republic of Singapore Air Force, accompanied by Air Marshal Robert Chipman, Chief of the Royal Australian Air Force, and Victoria Cross for Australia recipient Mark Donaldson, and Mr Jason Zander, Executive Vice President, Microsoft, United States, and their accompanying delegations. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catafalque party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. If you wish to and you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Edward Martin Meyer. Edward Martin was born in Adelaide on the 17th of December 1891. Affectionately known as Eddie, he was one of 9 children born to storekeeper August Meyer and his wife Mary. He grew up in the Perth suburb of Subiaco and received his education at a local state school. On completing his schooling, he took up employment as a storekeeper and enjoyed playing a variety of sports in the local area. Eddie Meyer enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 5th of July 1915, having previously been found unfit for service because of a heart defect. Once accepted, he was assigned to the 9th Reinforcements of the 11th Battalion and began a short period of training in Australia. He embarked for active service from Fremantle on the 5th of October 1915, sailing on board the troop ship Hororata. By the time Private Meyer reached Alexandria, the Gallipoli campaign had been abandoned and troops were being evacuated and returned to Egypt. He joined his comrades in the 11th Battalion in early January 1916 and continued training in preparation for the Western Front. In late February, Meyer was transferred to the 51st Battalion during a period of restructuring in the AIF, which led to the creation of new units. He embarked for France with his new unit in June 1916, arriving in the port city of Marseille just a week later. His unit was immediately sent north to the Somme Valley, which had been the site of bitter fighting since 1914. Within 2 weeks of reaching the front, they had been moved into the trenches and would take part in their first major battle of the war in August at a place called Mouquet Farm. The enemy had established a formidable defensive position which incorporated former cellars of the farm being turned into deadly machine gun posts. On the 1st of September 1916, Meyer's unit was sent to relieve the 47th Battalion further up the line. They went into battle the next evening under heavy bombardment and machine gun fire from the enemy lines. Eventually reaching their objective on the farm, the men were cut off by sniper fire and were eventually driven back to their own lines. Between August and September 1916, the 51st Battalion suffered casualties amounting to a third of their fighting strength. Among the dead was Private Eddie Meyer, who was killed in action during the advance on Mouquet Farm. His final resting place was never located. Today, he is commemorated on the Australian Memorial at Villers-Bretna among more than 10,000 others who have no known grave. Private Eddie Meyer was 24 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 42,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Eddie Martin Meyer, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Catapult party, present! Catapult party, shoulder up.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, inwards, turn. Catapult party, quick, march.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff of the Australian War Memorial, thank you for visiting today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.